Oh, hi, I'm Kit Bonson. I'm with the Montgomery County Civil Rights Coalition. I'm sorry, should I speak a little louder?
Yes.
Maybe you should also move up just a little? Or,
Well,
okay. I'm Kit Bonson. I'm with the Montgomery County Civil Rights Coalition. I'd like to welcome you this evening to our Defending Dissent Forum, where we're going to address the question of what effect has the war on terror had on free expression and grassroots political organizing in Maryland and across the U.S. since 9/11. We think that this is an important question because the effects of the war on terror have been more far-reaching than many of us are aware of, not just in foreign countries, but also here at home. And so in order to answer this question, we've assembled a terrific panel of experts who will address different aspects of the issues involved. So let me introduce our panel. We have Saqib Ali, who is with the Maryland chapter of the Council on Arab-Islamic Relations, also known as CAIR. No? What is it?
Council on American Islamic Relations.
Okay. And he will discuss police profiling, preemptive entrapment, prosecution of targeted communities, including Arabs and Muslims. Close? Close enough.
Yes,
all right, good. Max Obuszewski. Max, you're going to have to help me with your last name. I thought I had it.
You were so close.
I know, man. I heard it. What is it?
Obuszewski.
Obuszewski. See, I can say it now. He's with the Baltimore Nonviolence Center, and he was one of more than 4 dozen local activists who were spied upon by the Maryland police, and he's going to talk about surveillance and infiltration of activist groups. Sue Udry, also part of the MCCRC, is with Defending Dissent, and she's going to draw the connections between the movement experiences and describe the directions that we're going to be taking with your help, and especially with regard to the Rapid Response Network. And we also wanted to have tonight with us Megan Jenny from the Chesapeake Climate Action Network, but unfortunately she's got a migraine, she's not able to join us tonight, but Sue is going to present a few things about the environmental movement for us. A little bit, okay. Before we get to this though, I'd like to give you a little background about what we are and what we've been doing, and you'll note that all of what we're going to be talking about has to do with the local components of national civil liberties issues. And we started back in the fall of 2010, when 7 activists in the Minneapolis and Chicago area awoke one morning to find that their houses were being raided by the FBI. And boxes and boxes of their possessions were confiscated, including computers, papers, and even family photos. And although they were never charged with any crime, they were called to testify in front of a grand jury. And in response, activists here in our area, many of us who are in this room, as well as in cities across the country, came together to protest the use of the FBI and the grand jury process to harass and intimidate movement organizers. Basically, we wanted to stand in solidarity with these activists who hadn't committed any crimes or advocated anything other than nonviolent action. And so it was from these events that our group, Montgomery County Civil Rights Coalition, was founded. Now, eventually, a total of 23 activists from around the country were eventually raided by the FBI, and all of them were called to testify in front of the grand jury hearings, and every single one of them refused to actually show up. So several months later, in the spring of 2011, we hosted 2 of the Midwest activists who came to DC, and they provided us with a fascinating history explaining about why they had refused to participate and how we could continue to support them. Around the same time, here in DC, we had our own civil liberties issue when the Metro system announced that they were going to start the bag searches on the Metro and buses. And we and other civil libertarians in town started leafleting Metro stops to remind people of their rights and to condemn the bag searches as security theater that represented to us wasted resources and time. It had no transparency, and it wasn't going to make us any safer. And this is especially important in the wake of what happened with the terrorist attacks in Boston this last week, because Metro has now announced that they will reinstitute bag searches, which again, we don't think is actually going to do anything to help us. Also in the fall of 2011, with the 10th anniversary of 9/11, we heard that Fred Grandy, who was a former member of Congress from Iowa, had held a forum in Montgomery County in which he claimed that the U.S. was undergoing creeping Sharia, which was his fear that the Constitution was going to be undermined by Muslims who wanted Americans to function under law found in the Quran. And to show the absurdity of this assertion, we held a very well-attended panel discussion in response that featured Jamie Raskin, who I'm sure a lot of you know is our wonderful Maryland State Senator and a constitutional expert. We had Shahid Bittar, who was the Executive Director of the Bill of Rights Defense Committee. We had Suleiman Young, Professor of African Studies at Howard University, and Corey Saylor, who is the Legislative Director of CAIR. We also took our concerns to the Maryland Conservative Action Network at their conference in Annapolis, where we leafleted outside the panel entitled, "Is Sharia Law Coming to Maryland?" And we concluded, of course, that it was not. That fall, we also stood up for the free assembly rights of youth by opposing proposed bills in front of the Montgomery County Council that would have imposed a curfew and created loitering laws. And happily, after our efforts and the efforts of many other people, both of these measures were tabled. Then last year, in 2012, we spent a lot of our time working on the provisions of the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, that, oh, please come in, that would have allowed indefinite detention of American citizens arrested on U.S. soil based only on their being accused of ill-defined belligerent acts. I know that there are a number of you in this room that helped us out with that. So we went to Congress and lobbied them, we held a forum on the NDAA, and then we took it one step further. After months of work, we got the Tacoma Park City Council to pass a resolution condemning the indefinite detention provisions of the NDAA. And this made us one of only a few locales in the entire nation that had been able to do anything like that. So this spring, we took the fight to the Maryland State House, louder she say, where we supported the Maryland Liberty Prevention Act, which would have prohibited Maryland state officials from cooperating with the indefinite detention provisions of the NDAA. And although this bill didn't get out of committee this time, when it gets reintroduced, we're going to be there, and we hope that you'll join us. Over the years, we've also reached out to communities that have been targeted for profiling by authorities, such as Arab, Muslim, and Latin American immigrant organizations, and we're pleased to be making friends and showing solidarity with these groups. Based on the concerns that they expressed to us about surveillance, we then had a meeting with the ACLU, with the Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett, as well as the County Chief of Police Major on numerous issues, and that included our concerns like crowd control by the police with excessive reliance on weapons, criminalizing photography in a public place, and county participation in the federal Secure Communities program, which effectively makes local law enforcement officers into immigration agents. Now, this spring, we've been kind of moving into a good direction with the Electric Maid, which you may know is that facility across the street from the Tacoma Park Metro. It's a little storefront, and they have a political community there, and we're partnering with them to have some of our events there and promote what they're doing with their work. So in February, we focused on torture, and we went leafleted out at the at movie theaters about 0 Dark 30, kind of giving more accurate information about the legality and ethics of torture. And then we held a great program where we had faith leaders come and showed a film called Ending U.S.-Sponsored Torture Forever and had a discussion afterwards with that. And last month we showed the film Better This World, which is about young activists who were lured into a plot by an FBI informant, and they showed solidarity with each other even in the face of long jail sentences. So this is what we've been up to, and we're very pleased that you all came out tonight to hear more about our civil liberties concerns in our area. And let's see, shall we turn it over to you first?